Mr. Keating, sir, good morning. It's Doug Bush in the room. Could we do a microphone check with you, sir? Mr. Langevin, sir, we don't have your audio yet. Can you make sure it's on? It's on.
Doug, can you hear me now?
We've got you now, sir.
I exited. So we're ready to begin. Okay. Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to call this hearing to order. I want to thank you all for joining me for the Intelligence, Emerging Threats, and Capability Subcommittee markup for the fiscal year 2021 National Defense Authorization Act. I'll mention that we are all making history this morning, and this is the first time the Armed Services Committee or a subcommittee of the Armed Services Committee is actually conducting a markup hearing, and this is an exciting point in time for historic purposes and for everyone participating today. And as always, I thank everyone for the service on the committee and the work they do in Congress on behalf of our constituents and the American people, especially when it comes to protecting the country and keeping us all safe. Um, so with that, I just want to thank and welcome all the members who are joining today's markup remotely. Um, just a little bit of housekeeping first in terms of official details and how we need to run this remote hearing. Those members are reminded that they must be visible on screen within the software platform for the purposes of identity verification when joining the proceedings, establishing and maintaining a quorum, participating in the quorum, and voting. Members participating remotely must continue to use the software platform's video function while attending the proceedings unless they experience connectivity issues or other technical problems that render the member unable to fully participate on camera. If a member who is participating remotely experiences technical difficulties, please contact the committee staff for assistance, and they will help you get reconnected. When recognized, video of remotely attending members' participation will be broadcast in the room and via television internet feeds. Members participating remotely are asked to mute their microphone when they are not speaking. Doing so will help to ensure that the remote technology works properly. Members participating remotely will be recognized normally for asking questions, but if they want to speak at another time, they must seek recognition verbally. In all cases, members are reminded to unmute their microphone prior to speaking. Members should be aware that there is a slight lag of a few seconds between the time you start speaking and the camera shot switching to you. Members who are participating remotely are reminded to keep the software platform's video function on for the entirety of the time they attend the proceeding. Those members may leave and rejoin the proceedings. If members depart for a short period for reasons other than joining a different proceeding, they should leave the video function on. If members will be absent for a significant period or depart to join a different proceeding, they should exit the software platform entirely and then rejoin if they return. Members are also advised that I have designated a committee staff member to, if necessary, mute unrecognized members' microphones to cancel any inadvertent background noise that may disrupt the proceeding. Members may use the software platform's chat feature to communicate with staff regarding technical or logistical support issues only. Finally, remotely participating members should see a 5-minute countdown clock on the software platform's display, but if necessary, I will remind members when their time is up. For the purposes of voting, remote members are reminded that they must unmute themselves to vote. For voice votes, I will pause for a few seconds when asking for yes and no votes to ensure remote member votes have been heard. If we have a roll call vote, remote members are requested to both say their name and how they vote. Doing so will help ensure the clerk can properly record your vote. Remote members must be visible on the screen in order to vote. Remote members who experience connectivity issues or other technical problems that render the member unable to fully participate on camera will not be able to vote. So with that takes care of the opening technical parameters of the and details of the remote hearing. Before I deliver my opening remarks, I just wanted to check in with the ranking member to make sure that you're ready to go, Elise, and then I'll start with my opening statement.
We are ready.
Okay, very good. Well, again, good morning, everyone, and I want to begin by extending my sincerest thanks to Ranking Member Stefanik and her bipartisanship and impactful contributions to the SMARC. Elise, as always, it's been a pleasure working with you, and I appreciate the outstanding collaboration between our staffs as well. I would, of course, also like to thank all the members of the subcommittee for their meaningful contributions to this mark. This has been a truly team effort. And of course, I also want to thank the amazing work of the staff. Let me thank the staff director, Shannon, as well as Jessica, Josh, Bess, Eric, Jason, and Caroline. And I'd also like to thank my MLA and Caroline Goodson and my defense fellow Matthew Lake, as well as Eric Snellgrove and all the members of the minority staff included. And again, I appreciate everyone's hard work in the midst of the unusual challenges of these past few months. We began this year focused on the many threats from malign actors that destabilize the international order, from interference in democratic institutions to descriptions of critical infrastructure, disruptions of critical infrastructure, cyber attacks, gray zone activities, and continued development of weapons of mass destruction. We suddenly found ourselves in a crisis not seen in a century, which has taken over 100,000 American lives, sadly, and upended our way of life. It reminds us that we must confront challenges before they become crises. To that end, this subcommittee, in a bipartisan manner, presents a mark that is active in all areas of our jurisdiction, continues our commitment to strong oversight and accountability of the department, and aligns resources, capabilities, and precious human capital towards emerging threats. Beginning with special operations, this mark ensures these forces remain a professional, agile, and ready resource for high-end missions to protect our national security. We support U.S. Special Operations Command's progress towards addressing the strategic challenges posed by China and Russia as the command evaluates its existing capabilities and tradecraft. Further, we commend SOCOM's rapid implementation of the recommendations from the comprehensive review on professionalism and ethics. A subcommittee mark continues to progress, continues the progress also made through prior legislative action to project, preserve, and enable SOF for the future fight. Through the NDAA, through this NDAA, we will continue to review the use of the 127 ECHO counterterrorism activities, ensure the maturation of the Assistant Secretary for Special Operations and Low Intensity Conflict so that we preserve civilian control of the military and better understand the preservation of the force and family program. Let me also pause for special recognition and mentioning that I understand that a woman has successfully completed the Special Forces training course for the first time and will soon be a Green Beret, which is fantastic news. And I certainly look forward to seeing more women and more diversity writ large in Special Operations Forces. So, moving to cyber and artificial intelligence, the threats we face are only growing as all elements of our society become increasingly connected. This marks cyber provisions build on the important oversight the subcommittee has conducted and include recommendations from watershed outside commissions. I will note that the mark contains provisions from the Cyber Solarium Commission that Mr. Gallagher and I served on, Mr. Gallagher, along with Senator King, did an outstanding job chairing the Cyber Solarium Commission, including an assessment on the promise of partnerships with critical infrastructure owners and operators, a review of alternative reserve component models for support to cyber operations, and a mandate to the Department of Defense to clarify cybersecurity capabilities and authorities with respect to the National Guard. In line with the recommendations from the National Security Commission on AI, we made substantial improvements to the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center, or JAIC, by bringing responsibility for it up to the Deputy Secretary of Defense and establishing a board of directors over it, comprised of both civilian and military leaders, as well as experts from academia and the private sector. Our subcommittee, Mark, also promotes the defense intelligence enterprise shift in resources to support strategic competition with China and Russia. We appreciate that advances in cloud computing, artificial intelligence, and machine learning are being dynamically harnessed by the defense intelligence enterprise through projects such as Mars and Project Maven. As our subcommittee continues to focus on harnessing cutting-edge AI, ML technology to compete with China and Russia, we direct the Director of National Intelligence to assess the extent of the ties between those two nations and require a comprehensive review of the department's artificial intelligence initiatives to ensure our investments are synchronized across the joint force and the defense intelligence enterprise. In support of the dynamic mission of the Joint Special Operations Command's Joint Intelligence Brigade, we direct the GAO review to examine the extent to which the brigade has shifted focus from countering violent extremism to confronting great powers in the gray zone. Finally, addressing the challenges from rising science powers requires an ambitious plan of national investment and aggressive talent development in science and technology. So this mark places substantial emphasis on the department's science and technology initiatives and ecosystem. It champions the crucial role of basic research. It empowers the laboratories, test ranges, and DARPA to remove bureaucratic barriers and concentrate on the best science. It encourages innovation partnerships with our allies and establishes a directed energy working group to synchronize the development of directed energy programs. So I'm proud to say that this mark rejects the cancellation of the Minerva program as put forward in the president's budget. We need this unique social science basic research program to help the department understand non-traditional threats to national security from the human systems underlying the cyber threat to the mind of a suicide bomber. Our mark supports the contributions of DARPA, the Chemical Biological Defense Program, and the Defense Threat Reduction Agency, and the Cooperative Threat Reduction Program, as their investments and efforts in biotechnology and pandemic preparedness have given us our best chance at developing testing and treatment for COVID-19. And we remind the department that if we defer investments in science and technology until there is a crisis, then we are failing the American people. So that concludes my my opening statement. This mark provides a solid foundation, which we look forward to building upon at the full committee mark next week. So with that, I now recognize the ranking member, Lee Stefanik, for the subcommittee for any opening comments that she would like to make. Elise?
Thank you, Chairman Langevin. I want to start off by thanking the chairman for his leadership and all of the members of the subcommittee for their attendance and active participation in the hearings, briefings, and our weekly remote calls. We've covered critical issues, including the role of the department has played in the COVID-19 response, and we have done so in a collaborative and bipartisan manner. I would also like to say that I am appreciative of the transparency the minority has had on the process so far, the majority, continuing the long-standing bipartisan tradition of our committee and this subcommittee in particular. I would like to take a moment to highlight 3 broad themes that I believe are notable within the mark. First, I am pleased that this mark is active in all areas of the subcommittee's jurisdiction, with special emphasis on basic research and the important contributions that our science and technology ecosystem, including our universities, the DoD laboratories, and DARPA, provide to our collective national defense, pandemic preparedness, and response. There are important lessons learned that must be captured from the current COVID-19 crisis to inform how DoD biosurveillance efforts detect, respond, and prevent these types of events in the future, whether naturally occurring or man-made. Second, this mark also addresses the importance of the broader national security innovation base through the formalization of programs like Hacking for Defense and the National Security Innovation Network and the maturation of the Joint Artificial Intelligence Center. The elevation of the Joint AI Center as a direct report to the Deputy Secretary of Defense and establishment of a board of directors demonstrates how important this technology is and how urgently it must be integrated into not only our weapon systems, but our healthcare systems, our predictive maintenance efforts, our humanitarian assistance missions, and our cybersecurity. Our ability to apply AI and other emerging technologies faster than our adversaries will allow us to maintain our competitive edge over Russia and China. Finally, I am also pleased that this mark will continue the tradition of rigorous oversight of ongoing and sensitive military operations and the structure of our cyber and special operations forces, including the capabilities and interoperability of our Reserve and National Guard. While this IETC mark doesn't include a discussion of the tables and funding, I believe it sets the right trajectory to support robust funding across the subcommittee's jurisdiction that will advance our national defense strategy and strengthen our military capabilities. Finally, let me also take a moment to thank the dedicated professional staff members of our subcommittee, and in particular Eric Snellgrove and Jason Schmid from our minority team, as well as Shannon Green and the entire majority team. Thank you again, Chairman Langevin, and thank you to each of my colleagues on the subcommittee for your hard work this year. With that, I yield back.
Very good. Thank you, Ranking Member Stefanik. Thank you for your opening remarks. And with that, we will now proceed to Markup HR 6395, the National Defense Authorization Act for fiscal year 2021. Without objection, the first reading of the bill is dispensed with. Copies of our subcommittee mark and director report language were made available and distributed to member offices on Thursday, June 18th. Is there any discussion or questions on the subcommittee mark? Okay, just one more time. Is there any discussion or questions on the subcommittee mark? Okay, hearing none. If there's no further discussion, the chair lays before the members the text of the subcommittee mark for consideration. Without objection, the mark is open to amendment at any point. Are there any amendments to the subcommittee mark? Okay, once again, are there any amendments to the subcommittee mark? Okay. If not, the question now occurs on the adoption of the mark. So many as are in favor will say aye.
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 Those opposed, no. Okay, in the opinion of the chair, the ayes have it and the mark is adopted. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Crow, for the purposes of a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move that the subcommittee report the mark favorably to the full committee.
Thank the vice chair of the committee for the motion. The question is on the motion of the gentleman from Colorado, Mr. Crow. So many are as in favor will say aye.
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 Those opposed say no. A quorum being present, the ayes have it, and the motion is adopted. And without objection, a motion to reconsider is laid upon the table. Without objection, members have 5 legislative days within which to submit written statements into the record. So ordered. I also ask unanimous consent that staff be authorized to make necessary conforming, technical, and clerical changes and to remove from the mark provisions that would cause the mark to refer to other committees or would result in additional direct spending or would result in an earmark. Without objection, so ordered. Again, I just want to thank the ranking member, Ranking Member Stefanik, and all the members of the subcommittee for their extraordinary contributions to this mark and all the work that's been done over the hearings and briefings over the past year. I hope that everyone is staying safe and healthy. We can't let our guard down. Obviously, we're still in a serious situation dealing with coronavirus, but it's a distinct privilege and an honor to work with all of you and serve as chair of this very important subcommittee. With that, Elise, did you have anything else before we close?
I'm all set. Thank you, Chairman.
Okay, very good. With that, there being no further legislative business before the subcommittee, this meeting stands adjourned.